Hey everyone, in this video we are going to talk about how you can perform web scraping in Python on a real website using Selenium tool and how you can store the data in a CSV file. In order to perform web scraping using the Selenium, we need to have the Chrome driver downloaded and installed on our system and also Selenium. So in order to download the Chrome driver, you have to go to this link which says chromedriver.chromium.org, and then inside the downloads page, you will land on something like this. Here you have a list of current releases and all other versions of Chrome driver available. You have to select the Chrome driver version that is most compatible with your Google Chrome version. So how do you know that which version is compatible with your Google Chrome? It's simple. You simply have to click on these three dots from your Google Chrome and go to help, and then from here select the option about Google Chrome. Once you click on it, you land on a page that looks like this, and here you can see that we have the version for our Google Chrome. So my version is 119.0.6045. So I'm going to download a version closest to this. So you can see that here it says if you're using Chrome version 115 or newer, please consult the Chrome for testing availability dashboard. So once you click on it, you will land on a page that looks like this. Here you have the availability options, and if you keep scrolling down, you can see that these are all the stable versions. So out of these, you have the option for different operating systems. You have the option for Linux, you have the option for Mac, for Windows, and for 32-bit and 64-bit as well. So from here, I have to select the Chrome driver for Windows 64. So once your Chrome driver zip file is downloaded, go ahead and unzip it, and you have to remember the location or the path where you are unzipping it because we are going to need this path later on. Now let's go ahead and install the Selenium into our Windows. So you can install the Selenium on any IDE. I'm going to use PyCharm for it. So let's go ahead and open PyCharm. So after your PyCharm IDE is opened, you have two options. Either you can install Selenium using the terminal or through the UI. So I'm going to select UI. For that, go to Files and then click on Settings. Then from these settings, you have to go to your project name, which is this one, and from here select Python Interpreter. Then you have to click on this plus button, and in the search bar, you have to search for Selenium, and this is the package that we want to install. So simply click on Install Package button, and it is going to take some time for installation. Okay, so our Selenium package has been successfully installed. Let's close it, click on OK. So now that you have successfully downloaded and installed the Chrome driver and Selenium on your system, now is the time to import the files. So now I have created a new Python file, and now inside it I am going to write from Selenium import WebDriver, and this WebDriver library will be used to create a driver that will help us scrape the websites which we'll use in this video. And this is all you need to start working with Selenium. So now let's go ahead and create a driver. For that, firstly we have to define the website which we are going to scrape. And this is the website whose data I'm going to scrape in this video. So it is actually the official website of ICC, and inside it I have gone to the Cricket World Cup, and these are the results of all the matches that were held during the tournament. So I'm going to copy the link from here, go back to our IDE, and then paste the path inside single quote here. So now next thing is to define the path where we have installed our Chrome driver. So my Chrome driver was downloaded, or I can say extracted, in my F directory inside this folder. So I've copied the path, and I'm gonna go back to my IDE. Here I'm going to define a variable by the name path and open the single quotes, and inside this I'm going to pass the path of my Chrome driver. Next, we are going to define a driver variable to which we are going to assign WebDriver.Chrome, and inside the parentheses we are going to pass the path variable which has the path of our Chrome driver. So here I am using the Chrome method because I have downloaded the Chrome driver, as I am using Chrome as my web browser. So if you were using Firefox or any other browser, then you have the function for that browser, and you will simply have to pass the path of that browser here. And after that, I am going to use the get method with this driver inside which we are going to pass our website. So this get function of the driver is actually going to open a Chrome driver window for us with this website. So now let's quickly go ahead and run this so that I can show you how it actually works. So it has given me an error for the Selenium. So let's change this code a bit. So instead of simply using Chrome and passing the path variable here, I am going to use the Chrome service function of the WebDriver, inside which I am going to pass the executable path like this. And then I am going to copy the value of this path where my Chrome driver is, and I'm going to change it to, let's say, C service, and then I'm going to define the driver. I am going to remove this line, and instead of it I'm going to paste the driver equals to webdriver.chrome, inside which as a service I am going to pass this C service variable here. And before running the project, you need to add your .exe file path here, because for my case it is somehow not fetching it on its own. And then we are going to pass driver.get method. Inside it, we'll pass the website which we want to open. So now let's go ahead and run it, and it has opened a new browser window for us, and you can see that our website which we passed to the variable has been opened. So this means that now our code is working fine. Another most important thing to remember is that this browser window was opened using the Selenium, and in order to close it, you need to write driver.quit in order to close the window, because every time you open the browser using the Selenium, your code will stop executing, but in the backend you will have multiple windows of Chrome running. But before moving forward, I am thinking to change my website from this ICC official website to this Cricinfo ESPN website. So I am going to copy the link from here. It also shows the same data that was in the previous website, but it is in a more presentable format. So I'm going to copy the link, and I'm going to paste it here for the website, and it is going to open this website in the browser for us. But before moving towards actually performing web scraping, let's have a look at this website. So here you can see that we have data in the form of table, and the table has different rows and columns. So first table is for the scoreboard of the World Cup, having all the teams and their points and the run rate. And then if you scroll down, you can see that we have the point summary, in which for each team it has given us that the match was against which team, and it has also shown the win and loss using different colors, and has shown the final as well. And then we have a point graph, but we are going to focus on these two tables. So we are actually going to see how you can extract data from the table using Selenium. Whenever you are working with the tables, you can see that you represent the table using the tag names tr and td. So in simple words, we can say that the tr tag represents the rows inside the table, and the td tag represents the actual data which is present inside each of the row. So if we speak about tr, it is going to represent this data, and td is going to represent the data which is present inside each of the row. So if tr1 is this first row, then td1 is going to be this numbering, td2 is going to be the name of the team, td3, td4, etc. So now in order to see whether this website also follows the same methodology, I am going to select this value, right click it, and click on inspect. And you can see that there are multiple td tags inside a single tr tag. So all of these td tags have a common parent node, which is this tr. So if you hover upon it, you will see that it is representing the entire row, and inside it we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 multiple td rows, which represents a column inside the rows. So it is working on the trtd method. So as you have seen that these tables follow the trtd tags, which most of the tables in the websites do. So now I am going to show you how you can scrape data from such type of tables. So now let's go back to our PyCharm, and inside it I am going to find the elements by the tag name, because we have the table with the tr and td tags. So I'm gonna say driver dot find elements function. So we want to find all the elements which are inside the tag tr and td. So I'm gonna firstly go inside the find element bracket, and I am going to pass tr inside these single quotes. Then I am going to copy this line again and paste it here, and this time I am going to pass td in the find elements function, because I want to find all the elements which are in the tag tr and td. So if you were to find a single element by the tag tr, then you will use the function find element and inside it pass the name of the tag. But since we want to find all the elements which are inside the tag tr, so I'm using the find elements function here. Another most important thing to remember is that since we are using the find elements function, so it is going to return us more than one element which is going to be in the form of a list. So I am going to create a new variable by the name matches here, which is going to be a list. And then in order to get the data which is present inside the list, we have to iterate through the list. So in order to iterate through the list, we are going to use the for loop. So I'm going to say for match in matches, place a colon, and I'm going to say match.text. So this match.text is actually going to get the text which is present inside each of the tr instead of fetching the rows for us. So I'm going to remove this td because now we are actually getting the text by using match.text function. So I am going to print this data to display you the data which is fetched from the table by using the print function, enclose the match.text inside it. So for the time being, I am going to comment this driver.quit. So before actually running the code, let's make some changes into it. So I'm going to use the by object and inside which I'm going to use the tag name. Then place a comma and then say tr. So now the driver.find element is going to find elements by the tag name which is tr. So now let's go ahead and run this. See, the browser window has opened. It is our website and you can see that the data from our table has been fetched. So if I scroll all the way up, you can see that here are the teams. This is the data which is present for all the rows. Let's match it with our website. For the first row, we have teams M, W, L, T, NR, PT, NRR. And you can see that for the first row, we have team M, W, L, T, NR, PT, NRR and all these things. So you can see that the Selenium has successfully scraped the data from our website here in our IDE. But one little detail that you need to notice is that all of this data is present inside a single variable. And this situation is fine for now on, but later if you want to transform it into a data frame, then in that case you will get a single column having all of the data present inside it. And then you'll have to use different Python's complex methodologies like using the regular expressions to extract the data from the single column and placing it into different columns and different rows. And so if we want to avoid it, then we can store all of this data into separate variables. So let's say that we have a list that contains only the team for all the rows of the table. Then we have a separate list for matches. Then we have a separate list for the win points. Then we have the separate list for loss and so on. So now let's go ahead and do this. Before this for loop, I am going to create an empty list which I am going to call team. So this empty list can be represented by these empty braces. So I'm going to copy it and paste it multiple times for as much as the number of columns in the table. So let's go back to our website and there are 11 columns. So I'm going to paste it 11 times. No, there is another column for this numbering. So I'm going to paste it 12 times. Now let's go back to my IDE and I'm going to paste all of this here. Alright, so I have pasted all of these empty lists here and I've renamed it according to the columns which are present in the table and you can verify it from here. And for net run rate, it was not accepting the forward slash, so I've placed an underscore here and for is a reserved keyword. So I've placed an underscore before it to remove any ambiguity. Okay, so now that we have all the lists, now let's start web scraping. So now let's go back to our website and once again, I am going to inspect it to see the code. Okay, so you can see that as I've discussed earlier that inside each tr tag, we have 12 different td tags. So let's say that if I want to get this td tag, which is in the second number, okay, so there are total 11 td tags because this one comes with the team name. So let me go ahead and change it. So here I'm simply going to remove this numbering list. Okay, so I was saying that if I want to get this td tag which is on the second number, then I can get it by using td, then placing a square bracket and inside the square bracket I'll pass 2. and this is going to get the second number TD tag for us. And why I am using 2 inside the square brackets? Because I'll be using the X path, and the numbering for the X path or the indexes of the X path starts with 1. But in case of Python, it starts with 0. But right now I'll be creating X paths, so the index starts with 1. This TD is gonna be the TD index 1, and this one is gonna be the TD index 2. So now onwards, we are not going to use the tag name, rather we'll use the X path. So let me show you. Press Ctrl F, and inside the search bar, I'm gonna write /tr. And it is going to fetch all of the TR tags for us, and you can see that each TR tag has 11 TD tags inside it. So if I want to fetch the data which is present in the first column, for that I'm going to say, since this TD tag is present inside the TR tag, so we want the immediate child of this node, so we'll place a single /, then write TD, then place square brackets, and inside the square brackets you will pass 1. So you can see that by writing it, it has selected this cell for us. So if I navigate through this, you will see that I am only going in this column inside each of the TR tags. So now I am going to copy this X path from here. I'm gonna go back to my PyCharm, and I am going to change this path. Here, instead of match.tag, I am going to once again use the match, but this time I am going to use dot find element. Inside it, once again I am going to use the by object, and this time I am going to use the X path because I will find elements by its X path. And then for the second parameter, simply open the single quotes and place the X path that you copied from your browser. So here, instead of using the driver, I am using the match, because the driver dot find element is going to fetch all of the elements having the tag TR, which will be in the matches, and then we'll iterate through that list to find the elements that are present inside each of the TR tag. So in this way, we'll get all the TD tags one by one which are present inside this list in the TR tag. And if I only leave it to this, it is going to give me the code, but we want the text, so I'm going to say dot text. Now I am going to copy this line and paste it 10 more times to have 11 of such. Okay, so this is done. Now I am going to change the index for each of these to get different columns. So this is gonna be index 3, index 4, and so on. Alright, so I have changed the indexes. Now I am going to assign it to the list. But before that, I'll use the getText method with each of these, because if I don't write the getText method, it is going to return me the code, but I want the actual values. So I'm gonna use the .get function with each of these. So once this is done, now I'm going to assign it to my list. So I'm going to say team.append, and inside the append method, I am going to pass this, and the same goes for all of these lists. Alright, so I've added the append method with all of the list and placed these elements inside it. So now, in order to see if it is working correctly, I am going to change one of these here. So I'm gonna add a new variable. I'm gonna call it t1, and I am going to assign it this value which is present inside the parenthesis. So I'm going to cut it from here. I'm gonna paste it here, and then I will say team.append and pass t1 here. After that, I am simply gonna go ahead and print this team variable to see if the data is actually being fetched or not. Okay, so instead of printing team, I'm gonna print t1 because it has the data. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run this to see what's actually happening. So it is going to open a new browser window for us, and you can see that our website is being loaded. Okay, so it is saying that list object has no attribute for getText. So I'm gonna change the getText to simply text for all of these. So instead of getText, I'm simply gonna pass text. Let's copy it and paste it for all of these. Alright, so now let's go ahead and run it again to see the output. And you can see that our browser has opened. It is loading the website. The website has opened. It was again giving me an error on the .text, so I removed .text from all of these, and I split the team.append match.find elements by XPath into 2 lines for each of the lists. So firstly, I am finding the element from our match list by the XPath and storing it in a variable, and then I am storing that variable to the list by appending it. And this is being done for all of these. Then after that, created a nested for loop here. In the first part of the for loop, since this X was not showing us the .text method, so I am first extracting a value from this list, and then inside the other for loop I am selecting each element from this X list, and then I am extracting the text of this A and appending it to the new list for the team, and I'm also printing the text to see what it gives us. Let's go ahead and run it. Okay, so our browser is opened, and after a while our website will be loaded. Yes, once it is loaded, let's wait for it to start the web scraping. Okay, so you can see that the data is being loaded here, and I think it is an infinite loop. Yes, there were only 10 countries and it is repeating the data for all the 10 countries again and again. Okay, so we need to add a check to somehow stop it. For that, I have created a new variable called bb, and I'm gonna add an if condition here, that if bb is equal to 1, then what should we do? We should break out of this loop and then come out of this if condition, and here I am going to increment this bb by 1. The purpose of doing so is this loop is running for infinite time, because firstly this loop is executing, and once a complete execution of this loop happens, then we should have 10 records. But once the loop executes again, it keeps executing and shows us the 10 countries again and again. So we only want this loop to complete its execution until all the elements are printed, and then once it goes back to this loop, we want to come out of it. So for the first iteration, the bb is gonna be 0, so we won't go into this if clause, and we'll come out of it and increment it by 1. Then this loop will continue executing until the number of elements present in the list, and once all of this is done, we are gonna go back to the for loop, and this time the bb value will be 1. So once it will execute this if condition, the condition will be true and it will break the loop and come out of it. So now let's go ahead and verify it. Hit run. The browser has opened, our website is loaded. Now let's wait for it to start this web scraping. And you can see that it has started scraping. And yes, right now you will be seeing that it is showing us the data 2 times. This is because we had 2 different tables, and the first 10 countries are from the first table and the second one are from the second table. So this is the output that was required. So this is working fine. But I needed the data from only the first table having 10 rows in each column. So I've added an additional condition to it. Firstly, I've created a variable called check, and I've assigned it a value 0. So inside it, I'm gonna check if check value is equal to 10, then set the check value to 0 and break the loop. So this is going to run only 10 times in order to get 10 rows. I'm doing this because when later on in this video we'll try to save the data inside a data frame, then it will ask us to have all the lists of the same size. So we need to have the list of the same size. For that, I am only getting 10 rows from each column. And I have also created a similar for loop for all the columns as well. This one is for the matches, this one is for the wins, the lost, the tied, and net run rate, etc. So all the loops have been added, and I've added the same condition in all of the loops to limit the number of rows to be fetched equal to 10. Okay, so now once we have all the data inside our new list, now the next step is to store it into a CSV file. You can store the data in any file, but I'm going to use the CSV file because it is the most closest to the Excel, and it displays data in an organized format separated by commas. So for that, you have to include pandas library in your project. I have already added it, and then you have to import the pandas library like so. You have to write import pandas as PD. This PD is an alias for the pandas library, which we will use throughout this video. If you are not sure about the pandas library, then we have a whole video about the pandas library in Python. You can check it out and see how it works. So after you have imported the pandas library inside your project, now I am going to use this PD object to call its data frame function. Then inside the data frame function, I'm going to start a dictionary because I want to store the list in the form of key value pairs so that I'll have a title for all the columns of the list and their values. So my first list was about the team's name, so I'm gonna call it team 1. This is gonna be the key, and then you have to provide a value. For that, place a colon and provide the list name. So my list name in which the data about the team is present is called team 1. Then place a comma, and similarly we are gonna create a new key which is going to be for the total number of matches, which is represented by M, and our list which stores the data about the total matches is M1. Then we have the list for the matches won by each team. I'm going to represent it by the key W, and it is stored in the list W1. And similarly, you will add all the keys for all the lists and their value. Alright, so I've added the key value pairs for all the lists. These are for the loss, the tied, net run rate, the series, form, for, against, and everyone. So I've created a key value pair for all my lists inside which the data is present and stored it inside a data frame. Now I'm going to assign it to a new data frame variable. Then the next step is to simply assign it to a CSV file. So I'm going to say df.toCSV, and inside it you have to pass two parameters. The first one is going to be the name of the file with which you want to save it. So I want to call it World Cup 2023 stats, or let's say Cricket World Cup to make it more distinct. Okay, so the name of the file is Cricket World Cup 2023 stats, and you also have to provide the extension. So I want it to be a CSV file, so I'll add a .csv. Then place a comma to add the second parameter, which is gonna be the index. By default, whenever you write any data frame to CSV, the indexes is set to true, which means that every element of your file will be given an index numbering, but I don't want it to happen, so I'm gonna set the indexing to false. Alright, so once this is done, go ahead and run your project and wait for the data to be scraped by the website. Okay, so the browser has been opened, the website has been loaded. Now let's wait for web scraping. Okay, the data is being scraped and we are getting all the records one by one. So you can see that these are all the records which are being fetched, and our process finished with exit code 0. This means that our execution has been successful. Now if you see in your project directory, you can see that now we have an additional file by the name Cricket World Cup 2023 stats.csv, and this is the file inside which our data has been saved. So now let's view our CSV file. So I'm gonna go to my project folder. This is my project. Let's click on it, and this is my Excel file. Let's open it. And you can see that the data has been successfully scraped from the ESPN Cricinfo website into our Excel file. So the first column we saved it by the key team name has been given to this column, and these are all the team names. You can also scroll down to see that these are all the team names. Then we have the total number of matches played by each team, which is this value. Then we have the total number of matches won by each team, total number of matches lost by each team, tied matches, then we have the net run rate, etc. So this is how you can perform web scraping on any real-world website using Selenium and Python. I hope you learned a lot from this video, and I hope you'll try it for yourself and see the magic of web scraping. That's all for this video. Thank you.